Hi, everybody. This is Eddie White from the English Language Testing Society again, and I'm doing one of my Testing in 10 interviews. And today I'm speaking to a colleague from the Middle East, Christine. Christine, thanks a lot for helping us out with this.
Thank you, Eddie. Glad to be here.
Okay, Christine, maybe if you could start us off by maybe just mentioning your full name and your position, and maybe what kind of assessment-related duties are
Mhm.
you involved with?
Okay, my name is Christine Coombe, and I've been based in the Gulf for the past 28 years, the past 23 years of which have been in Dubai at Dubai Men's College, which is part of the Higher Colleges of Technology. I'm currently an associate professor of general studies at the college where I teach primarily research methods. So, although I have a lot of experience in assessment in general, I'm going to uh, limit my discussion to assessment in my own department at my own institution.
Okay, great. Christine, the research methods course that you teach now, did you have full control over that in terms of assessment? I mean, can you set that up assessment wise as you wish, as you want to, or do you have any restrictions there that you kind of have to follow?
No, we're a huge system of colleges, so we've got a very interesting setup for assessment. It's all done by committees. We've got a system course team leader who's in charge of the course,
Hmm.
and then we have assessment committees. And we actually involve everyone. All teachers are asked to submit questions based on CLOs. And I, as part of the upper management team of the assessment, look at the submissions that faculties give us,
Right.
and we decide on the assessments across the academic year based on those submissions that
Uh,
are written from common specifications.
Yeah, it sounds in some sense an ideal kind of situation where it's a collaborative effort, and people can have input on what's going on
Mhm.
with the assessments. So Christine, maybe can you talk a little bit about, so what are some of the main challenges that you deal with assessment wise for that course or in your context?
Well, we've got several challenges that we're facing these days because we've all been pretty much sent home in March for for COVID, for the lockdown.
Yeah.
And we're a higher colleges of technology, so our faculty and our students are already pretty technologically savvy. So we coped getting the instruction on our course management system, which is BB Learn Collaborate. But then, of course, as soon as we got the curriculum all set up, we had to think about the assessment. And we
Yeah.
already used a lockdown browser. I'm sure you know what a lockdown browser is.
Yes, sure. Yeah.
Okay, something that because we use the BB Learn system to do a lot of our testing, which
Yeah.
is primarily objective type testing. However, with students being assessed at home, we we implemented another system called Lockdown Browser Monitor. I don't know
Huh.
if you know a bit about that. It's a very interesting system whereby it's a lockdown browser, but it requires students it's remote proctoring, where students, they have to have a working camera and
Uh-huh.
working mic,
Yeah.
and they have to log on through this lockdown browser system, which then takes a picture of their face.
Yeah.
Then they hold up their ID to the camera. So that's the ID check. And they have to leave the camera on while they take the test. And any suspicious behavior gets flagged.
Yeah.
And that's where we, the human proctors, go on and kind of investigate after the fact.
We
That
we
worked pretty well, but we found that the big issues, even though the UAE is a fairly well-off country, what
Mhm.
we found was that when we sent all the students home during lockdown, there are oftentimes more than one child, and sometimes as many as 7 or 8 kids all doing online learning, and
Ah.
the Wi-Fi system was not strong enough to, and sometimes the kids could not find places where they could learn and assess themselves quietly. So
Yep.
that was a challenge that I think nobody expected.
I see. That's
Mhm.
it's a good point. Yeah, and as soon as you mention it, I can see it being an issue or being a
Mhm.
problem. So Christine, is it most of the challenges have been kind of just related to systems and processes of doing assessments? Um,
Well, another challenge, although I didn't really see it myself, because in looking at my grades over the past 3 semesters, they're pretty much the same as when they were when I was teaching face to face.
uh-huh.
But I've heard a lot of teachers suspect that students are engaging in cheating, academically dishonest behaviors.
Yes.
So one of the things that my institution did, which I'm very much in favor of as a tester, but as a teacher, I kind of like less, and that's they looked at we have at our institution a multiple measures assessment scheme,
Right.
whereby there's equal parts that are traditional types of assessment, objective type tests, but also alternative assessments. And a
Hmm.
major change to mitigate this cheating or potential cheating was taking our final exam, which was a 30% multiple choice objective type test,
Yeah.
and downscaling that to a 10% theoretical exam, but relegating another 20 or 30% to a major project, all done in the last parts of the week. So
I
a
see.
major challenge and as a tester, I like that.
Hmm.
Okay. But as a teacher, the marking burden is horrific. And it's all done at a time when we have invigilation duties, when we have to get our grades in.
Yeah.
And it was the admin load and the marking challenge was a big challenge for me and other teachers as well.
Yeah, Christine, as you well know, I mean, sometimes we talk about the key issues of validity and reliability, but
Mhm.
sometimes, I mean, practicality trumps all of that stuff sometimes, depending on the numbers of people you have involved. And that situation that you just described is, the
Mhm.
practicalities of things can
Mhm.
be quite overwhelming sometimes, especially when you want to do the best assessments or things that you're trying to do, but sometimes that's not possible.
Mhm. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Good. And Christine, I mean, you've had some big challenges, I guess, like everybody, about dealing with assessing students online and at a distance. Any other changes that you made to, for example, the types of assignments or assessments that students were doing or teachers decided to implement along
Well,
the way?
one of the biggest things that I didn't really think about, but now I see the results after having done this for 3 full semesters. We do have a flipped learning scenario
Yeah.
whereby half of the class comes to meet with the teacher for 2 hours a week, the other half the other 2 hours. And the other 2 hours of their class is, of course, 2 hours of work that they do engaging with materials that are put on the course management system,
Yeah.
doing activities, listening, watching videos, that kind of thing. And in order to make students accountable for that work, we instituted a daily quiz. So the
Uh,
first thing they do when they come to us for the applied class, back when
right.
we were face to face, was they take that quiz. Well, what often happened was, there were 5 of them all together, and it was worth 10% of their grade.
Right.
And the students didn't really take them seriously. They didn't do the flipped work before they came to class. So if they were there on time to take the quiz, they kind of went in and, did it randomly. And consequently, their grades weren't very good at the end of the semester. You
Right.
don't really notice that at 2% at a time, but at the end of the semester, it's an entire letter grade. It's a 10% thing. So that
Yes.
often was problematic. So a change was made to that. So we decided to, instead of having that short quiz in the class, we made it so students could do it on lockdown browser throughout the week at any time when they had time to do their flipped learning. That has proved a little bit more successful, but students just often forget it and that. So it's still having what I consider to be a major effect on their final grades.
Yeah. Okay,
So
great.
that's a pretty big change that that I'm in favor of, but it's not working out for some students, of course.
Yeah. Um, Great, Christine. I guess some of the assessments and things that you describe, and I guess changes along the way are ones I guess that we're kind of all dealing with in this, the pandemic era that we're going through, and
Mhm.
teachers and instructors like you and programs are kind of rolling with the
Yeah.
punches, I guess, a little bit, and making adjustments along the way, and then seeing, okay, what works, what we'll keep, and what,
Yep.
what still needs to change. So
Yes.
yeah.
In fact, we've just received an official correspondence from our administration saying things are changing on the daily. So tell students to read their emails. Cases are going up. So now we're back. I actually teach face to face. Some of my classes are still online, others I'm meeting face to face. But we have outdoor classrooms, these kinds of things. But now we never really know whether the students will be sent home to do online learning or whether we'll still have face-to-face classes. So we're trying to take it one day at a time, basically.
Okay, great. And I guess that's a good note to conclude on. Thanks,
Mhm,
Christine. I've been talking to educators in different parts of the world, and I'm
mhm,
very happy to get some input and information from what's happening there in Dubai and in the Gulf. So thanks a
mhm.
lot for participating in our interview today.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
big
Good luck
thank
with
you
the rest of the
to a big
series.
good. A big thank you to ITEP, also the International Test of English Proficiency, for sponsoring today's interview.
Thank you. All the best.